Hey, Shorty.
Hello.
Hey, Shorty.
All right. Well, fun date. Let's see what we got so far. I'm just gonna I erased a lot of stuff so we can kind of see where we are. Gonna hide this for a second. All right. So when you guys look at the price action all the way, I would say from what is this, September, and then you have, I would say, July here. So you're gonna have some support coming up right here, right? I would say probably around 58.34 all the way down to about 58.03. I would think we're gonna find some buyers in this area. So this would be a pretty big level, right? They came very close to it last time. I wouldn't be surprised if they go below this, kind of hold it and see. Because if we reject this area right here, you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Basically, the past 6 months, all the work we went up would be negated, right? And most likely we would offer lower prices and search much lower. When you think about the range that we are in, right? So we broke out of the 3-month, I would say the 3-month range here, but we didn't break the lows yet. So this would be the prior month low that you guys should be aware of. I'll just tag it here. This is your January low. And if I'm not mistaken, there should be some gaps in this area as well, but we'll check. So far so good. So we're out of balance. We lost the January value area low, which is somewhere around 59.29. And as you know, if they want to regain this, it'd be a pretty big level, right? So I would mark this as Jan value area low. And if you're able to hop there, then maybe you're back in this balance, right? Of the 3-4 months that we're in. As of right now, we are rejecting this top, and you have a little bit of overlap here, but this is a big level right now that we're gonna come up to. What is it, like 58.42? That was a prior all-time high, and I wouldn't be shocked if we offer some bounce here, especially if we can, if the bulls want to hold this, if they do something like this on a higher time frame, you want to watch out for this right here. And just be careful. I really think that there's some bears showing up right now, but I can't be with certainty that tomorrow, if they continue based on the candle that we had today, which was pretty good, red candle, I would say. There was a lot of volume, and you see an uptick in selling as well, full body candle down. They rejected the value area low, they're developing nicely, and then they proceeded to go right lower. So tomorrow I would definitely watch this 41 in terms of level for bounce. But in terms of the daily levels and where we stand, let me kind of zoom in here on the weekly for a second. And you see how tight the value area here right now on the weekly is. So if you guys pay attention to this tomorrow, right, if there's some miracle, if they're able to hop back inside here, that'll be insane and really bullish. I don't see that happening, right? So as of right now, we are framing down on the weekly time frame, which is, we are framing down on the weekly, we're framing down on the daily. The only one that's left is January low, so we would be framing down on all time frames if this was to crack tomorrow, because tomorrow is the last day of the month, so I would definitely watch out for that. Let me make sure that I somewhere around here. Okay, any questions? So out of balance, framing down so far on the weekly, and then on the daily, we'll just look at this. So here's your daily, right? And hopefully you guys had a good sense of what was going today, right? When we were trading live, to me made sense, and I was kind of taking the plays as they were happening and calling them out. It looked really, really weak, right? So when they were coming up here on 84 level, if you guys remember, I think somewhere around here, we took that short. We're targeting, and then I did mention there's probably a chance that we're going to be revisiting some of these January value area lows sooner than later. And we did, and they showed volume here. They showed in 30 minutes, increase in volume, and now there might be some stopping here, but it's not certain that we will. So out of that 3-day balance that they're forming, I would say they exploded down. So if they really want to get in, they should be looking to get inside January value area low to reclaim this balance. As of right now, when you zoom in, this is the only other balance that we had from the prior 3 days, right? From January, I'm sorry, not prior 3 days, but it was a 3-day balance. If you guys go here, So this was the prior 3-day balance. And if you zoom out a little bit and do something like this, we're right in the middle of that, right? So I would think somewhere right around here, 59, they might offer some relief bounce in this area, but don't bet that this market just has to do V-shaped recoveries. I think they're changing the behavior of the market, right? It's not as bullish as some people might think, buy the dip, buy the trend line. Eventually that doesn't work. And right now, if they lose this level, right, it becomes, I would say, pretty bad, because when you look at the price, and you have to go on ES continuous to see a little bit more. But you'll see that there's a lot of poor support starting, I believe, all the way until from like Mayish, and we don't have a lot of support in this area, and you can see that better here. So let me show you. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on. Hey. Sorry about that. The little guy just walked in. So if you guys look at this, right? So all the way from here, if you're just to draw kind of like an FVP and C, we still have ways to go. So I would think somewhere around 5,700. But this is, when you look at this profile of the buildup, I think they're really interested in seeing this area right here. I think this is the area that they're really after right now. So somewhere around 5730 all the way to about 5671, and that's the LVN that we have here. And you can also find that using VRVP, so it might make a little bit more sense. And you see that's a pretty decent one as well here. And we haven't revisited this since we went up. But in terms of value, you see the value SIG1 is all the way at 5790. So pretty sure we're going to be auctioning there sooner or later. And there's a little bit of LVN here as well. That's mainly due to these gaps that we've had. And I think this was our Trump gap right here. So we didn't complete it. Did we fill that? Yeah, we did. So I wouldn't be shocked if we were back to this level here probably tomorrow, if everything lines up. In terms of daily levels and where we stand, I think it's going to be pretty easy to kind of play this, because I do think we had a spike today. Let's see. I will hide the candles for a moment. Did you guys look at the broken down blocks, like when you expand the TPOs? What do you
Yeah,
guys
we
think?
had a spike.
Yeah, but what do you guys think about today's price action? Like at first, if you guys look at it, look what they did all day. Let me go on like 7 so you guys can see it. So here's your A and B. Look, when did they decide that we are going to go lower, right? It's kind of clear now that the period K, right, came in here, and this is the one that cracked the balance, right? And typically, if you guys paid attention to the day types, this is extended typical, right? You're coming late in the day and you're extending the day, right? And this initial balance is by no means, small here. I would say, I think it was like 40 something, 76 points. So for them to extend this initial balance downwards and pretty much close at the lows, that's pretty bearish, right? And today, you could have played this multiple times, long as short, long as short. Some of us did, but then you notice something here. The aggressive moves up kind of stopped here, right? At the F period, right? We put in a lower low, lower high, and we were barely making here higher highs, right? And the higher lows, but we really never cleaned up any of the important stuff. If they cleaned up 91, which was a critical level, I would say there was a chance that they can sell it, but they never did that. So what we have now, if you guys look at, while I'm here on the higher tick, somebody asked what's the probability that we're gonna have a spike? Does anyone see how you could have known?
L period made a lower low.
Yeah, L period made a lower low, right? And there's nothing else for this day from here. So there was a sign right here when the L period cracked this. Typically you could find where the L period took the K out, and if they revisit that level, probably, it's not a bad spot to take a short here, but they didn't give that. They came very close, I think a few points shy, 5 points shy, but then the M period did make a spike. And spike means just that we put in the lower low on L period here during the M period, right? 330 to 4. So this is our spike base, and I would say this is a pretty important level for tomorrow. Oops, what the hell is that? It's pretty important level for tomorrow. So if you guys look, we will mark this one as spike base. And all that means for tomorrow is that we need this validation to happen, that the bears are really interested in, the spike here. If the bears want to continue, we want to be below 5887, right? So below here, it's extremely bearish, semi-bearish, and then here above this level, if we open our auction above it, that means that we are rejecting this, and high chance that we will potentially clean up all of these single prints here. So you guys see here, we have some single prints probably go all the way to 5908. I would mark this level, and then all the way up to about 5930 or so. And this would be probably a big spot here, because that would be your January value area low, along with the single prints, and you see the value is kind of perfect D shape here. If it wasn't for this J period, is it K period onwards, the sell-off. So if they reject the spike, right? So if they reject the spike down, we would see something like this, maybe dance here. And then ultimately you would see them try to crack this 59.20 to about 59.30 here. Okay, so this is your key for tomorrow, and you could be done early if you play it right with the spike base tomorrow. And I'm pretty sure the levels are off a little bit because I'm on 7 ticks here. Not 101. Yeah, off. Is anyone confused about the spike? Yeah, that's very good. That's very good to hear. So this is what I'm going to watch for in the morning to see. And I don't know if we have any news. I think we should have PCs tomorrow. So I wouldn't be surprised if all of this is reversed if they decide to run it back up. But I think at this point, the CTAs and everybody's probably net short here. So it will take some time for them to reverse that, if that's the case. Okay. And this would be my next level. If you lose this 58.73 inside of this here, let me just show you guys inside of that box that we had, I would look kind of see where this POC is as well. If you guys look at this, don't extend it. I'll pay attention to this area as well here. About 58.62. So I mean, it's very close where they were. So if they lose that and you have 58.62, then I would say most likely they will be visiting 47 to 41. Might be an area where they offer some sort of bounce right here. Shouldn't be that big of a bounce, but I would think they're going to slow down a little bit here. And then below that, you have the 13, and I think that would be pretty good close. If they're able to close below this January low for the February, that would be basically month framing down weekly, daily. If they're to do this, that would be really, really bearish. Any questions? Tesla, if you guys are still in the puts, right? They're headed in the direction where we need them to go. So they're headed towards kind of the 250s, right? Puts, and that's kind of where I would anticipate. I am looking if Tesla comes to 220 or so, I think it'll be a pretty good level for a potential long, right? So I'm gonna look to see around 220s how the market behaves and how Tesla behaves. So keep an eye on that. I don't know if anyone's still on Apple puts. We're very close to being in the money, and we have plenty of time on these. So don't freak out, don't panic, right? If you're afraid of profits, and if you know how to, you could maybe sell some other puts, right? Or I don't know if you guys have shares on Apple, but you could do some ways to protect your profits that you're in. But there's a high chance that we're going to be at 232 here shortly on Apple. So, and if they lose this level here, which will be really, really hard for them to lose probably tomorrow, but if they lose this level, then I think we're going to visit this POC, divergent POC at 222, and then ultimately at 219. And if you guys look at SPY, it's actually pretty clear where SPY is headed. So here's your SPY right here. Okay, well, here's the drawing that we had from the other day. So it's still intact, right? And is anyone still in the 580s, 570 puts for SPY? Is anyone in for March? Some of you guys messaged me asking on the main chat, like, hey, am I still in? Yeah, I'm still in. So I would definitely watch for, you know, potentially going all the way up to here, 575, maybe 573. Might not be bad to trim some, at least the 570s. On Snow kind of did what I expected them to do. I expected them to hold, you know, this level right here around 571. I wanted them to go higher, and you know they needed to clear 192 to really make a run. They tried, and then they failed along with the rest of the market, and now they're probably going to the critical spot at 171, and we're going to see how they behave at that level. But for a lot of you guys, you know, that took this no call, we were up at one point, but then the IV came in and the market took turn. So I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure they're probably at toast, right? Not much left on them unless, you know, they reverse here and the market also cooperates and we go higher. Any questions about any of it?
Shorty, a quick question. So at around 2 o'clock or so, or 157, 158 is when it started dumping. Was there any sign that we could have known that and taken the short? Is there any confirmation that we could have received at that time?
I think the biggest confirmation we had is when you look at the IB, you know, and I mentioned it during the live, it's pretty wide, and that's why I was playing the longs and the shorts. I think we took the long here somewhere at 40, and then, you know, it went up almost like 30 points, or actually did almost 30 points. So when you have a two-sided activity like this, right, and it's a wide balance, if you see that they're cracking a balance and a wide balance, and you know you have a January value area low, the confirmation is your volume. And today, you know, if you guys looked at the footprints, they were not kidding around with the size. There was some very, very large orders. There was a big order sitting at 84. We were watching that order for some shorts today, and they're just piling in. And that one was at the ask, right? So, and then we didn't spend a lot of time trading above it. We only spent a little bit of time here, but immediately kind of rejected. So the way you could have told, you know, kind of anticipated this is if you have a 2-day balance. Remember we had the FVP drawn. There was something like this. So them losing this 42, which was a 2-day value area low, you really need a little bit of pressure and a lot of aggressive sellers to do that, right? So we came once right here, if you remember, we came here once below it, and then they basically rocketed, right? And I think I wrote that most likely 40 is a good long at this point. But then, you know, you have, you know, higher high, lower high, lower high, lower high. And here you have a higher low. So basically the market's telling you we're consolidating, but a little bit lower. And what I mean by that is that we tried to peak above this 2-day value area high and we failed. You know, ultimately we opened above it and we kind of got sold off. So they're immediately telling us, hey, we do not like the price action above this. If you don't like above this, well then how much time do they spend above the 2-day? Do you remember if you're trading live with us? We played the 65 level a few times, either close the, you know, the calls or the puts, but this is a pretty big level today. So if the 2-day fair price was here and we could not establish value above it, what are they telling you? Most likely interested in lower prices, right? So, and then you see when they started here, right, this was basically your lows, right? And if you looked at the, you know, the actual here, the value is really built around here, somewhere around 47. Once they started encroaching this, and this was a key period, right? Especially when you have a two-sided activity with that much initial balance, I would say this was a pretty good sign they wanted to go lower. Losing January value area low was probably the most critical spot that they needed to hold for the next 2 days. Once this was lost and they gave you a little bit of retest, you really had no business being long on any of it. But initial balance, two-sided activity. Whenever you have two-sided activity for majority of the day and then they crack it, especially in the type of environment that we've had lately, right? We had some sell-offs, right? And I would say we're not too far from all-time highs, guys. We're still very close. I don't even think we're encroaching 5% yet, but let's check. So we're pretty much right at 5%. This is your 5% from these highs right here. We are right there right now, where the spike is. So this is not a big sell-off, but there was aggressive sellers that showed up in that K period, right? So the only thing you had was, the acceptance of value, and you can see it also on here. When you look at the SVP, I think that was also fairly clear. What do you see on this that's kind of telling you, hey, we have a little bit of problem here on acceptance? So we tried to go above, right? And then you see here, you're not interested trading above Tuesday value area high. They came and they struggled. They lost the POC here as well. They were really looking for prices lower. And I'm surprised it took them that long to start selling today. But we're still in a very bearish environment, so I would expect any pops to be sold until we visit some of these levels right here. I wouldn't expect any slowdown. I would actually think we're gonna. Okay, so they're consolidating here probably because of PC. They're in between spike bases here, so it's not a bad range for overnight. Considering we have news, but wow, they just had a big candle at 8:30 here. Does that help answer the question?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And is there any level that we can watch out for tomorrow, as what you said?
Spike base
maybe
is a key level.
just the
Spike
spike
base
base.
Spike base is your best friend in a downtrend like this. If we reject it, right, there's a high chance you're probably gonna clean to 908. I would say most likely then 5920. This HVN, you'll have a little bit of LVN in between. But if we open below that, we're going, 62, you're going 41. And then if they lose this is going to be fairly quick, I would think. If they're to lose this, most likely this happens super, super quick. And I'll be on as well live. Whenever you have trend days in a row like this, this is the first day out of that 2-day balance that we had. So I would think that there's a high chance that we're going to continue. And that spike base along with the previous day low, which is a spike end, plays a big role tomorrow. And the most important thing tomorrow is where do we open? Are we opening inside the value, outside of the value, inside the range, below the range? That's going to be crucial to understand what the market's telling us tomorrow. So I'll be very cautious in the morning so you're not trapped on the short side if they decide to have a short cover rally from here. I don't see it, but if the PC does whatever they want to do, you just got to be ready to flip right above 88.5. So that's my most critical level here is 88.5. If they go above it, high chance you can run probably 30, 40 points from here. 808, 30, and then 42 zone would be really, really big here.
Thank you, Shorty.
Mm-hmm. All right, and Sunday we'll do a stock scan. It's month end, and the quarter end is coming in, so it might not be a bad idea to look at it, especially if you guys have the long-term ports that you guys are managing. We're gonna see what's available, and as I mentioned, I started clearing some opportunities to increase the cash position, as I mentioned last night, and you see some other people are doing the same thing, right? The big boys are at least. All right. Well, see you guys tomorrow bright and early, and we'll have a class Sunday or a stock scan.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Good night.